Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, I'm very excited. We're nearing the end of this season of the show we're covering, and so there's a lot of giddiness because things are falling into place, but also, I'm enjoying the ride, so I'm a bit also like, oh man, I don't want this to end, but obviously there'll be more to come. So how have things been going in your world, Rachel?
Okay. Things can get a little bit messy at times, but, keep chugging forward.
You gotta find some goo in a tub and stick your fingers in it. I'm gonna stick my finger in it. Rachel, we are here today to talk about an episode of a science fiction television series that we have watched. And what show are we watching and talking about right now?
We are watching Killjoys.
Which is a Sci-Fi Channel series co-production with some Canadian TV network, I'm sure, that came out in 2015. This show is 10 years old, and to celebrate that, we are going through it. This is my first time ever rewatching the show. I saw it about halfway through when it was airing, and then I caught up, and this is your first time seeing Killjoys.
That it is.
So, people, if you are new to the series of Killjoys, or if you are someone revisiting it, welcome. We hope to be your companion through the show, and if you're rewatching it or watching it for the first time, love to know people's thoughts on the show, so let us know. We have all of the in the description, we have all of the information if you want to contact us or follow us or support us, because we do release our content early on Patreon, as well as a whole slew of bonus material, as well as unedited full raw commentaries and reactions to things. We are watching through the show and we are recording our reactions. We also do put up edited versions on our YouTube channel, so make sure to head on over there too. But Rachel, we are here at the penultimate episode of Season 1 for Killjoys, and could you tell us the name and what happened?
We are watching Enemy Khlyen. And here is my summary of this episode. Team Awesome Force reunites for one final job to help Dutch confront her enemy, Khlyen. Meanwhile, Alvis gets in some hot water back on Westerly.
I like that you made sure to shout out the name Team Awesome Force. We have asked, when are they going to get a crew name? Because it's hard just to say all three of their names, and Lucy is a person's name, so it's weird to say like the crew of Lucy, which we did try to do, and we haven't even stuck to because it just doesn't feel right. But thank goodness that our agent from the RAC tour, and he said, here's a name. Here's a name, you silly little guys. Here's a name for you. But this show is very funny. It has a lot of silliness and humor to it. And the yum yum moment from Star Trek Discovery, which is why we're named this, was a silly moment itself. It was a moment that was absurd, out of place, sexy. It was just a whole cavalcade of things. And we named ourselves Yum Yum because we always want to cherish that moment and carry it with us in our hearts. And Killjoys...
You liar.
No, I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth. One of us always lies and one of us always tells the truth, Yumlings. Which one do you think it is out of the two of us? Write in and let us know. But that moment was very...
yumyumpod@gmail.com.
That moment was funny, and so we like to look at what was a funny moment in Killjoys. And Rachel, what was your yum yum laugh of the episode?
My crotch remembers. They're having this really heartfelt scene between Dutch and Johnny in their little AV in the cargo bay of Lucy, and talking about when they first met about when Johnny tried to steal Lucy. And he's just like, get a gun pointed at my crotch. And she's just like, no, it was your head. And Johnny's reply is, my crotch remembers.
This episode surprisingly had some great, funny lines, even though it's much more action-packed and laser-focused on the drama and the plot of the overarching nature of the series. I had a contender that I just want to get out of the way because it's also the one bitch that we get in the episode, because we also want to count how many bitches are dropped in each episode.
I'm going to insert no nut shots.
No one got hit in the genitals this time?
There wasn't even a real fake out.
Not even Khlyen. She didn't even give him a whack with one of the sticks in his dick?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. But Turin said that what they're looking for is a bigger dumb guy, a smaller dumb guy, and a bitch.
Yeah.
And that was such a mean statement. It was so, like, mean-spirited that it turned around to being genuinely funny. But my laugh out loud moment, the one that is also the essence of Yum Yum, was when, through the magic of ADR, which is dialogue recorded after, Dutch said meow when she was running up some stairs. We didn't see her say it, but we heard her say it. She's on the comms.
Like, how do you feel about a catwalk? And she's like, meow.
But we don't see her say it. We just hear it in ADR, and that made it even funnier for me. This is a show where if they said yum yum and licked their lips and threw their hair back, it would not feel out of place, unlike in Star Trek Discovery. This is the show that should have said it, but instead, they went with meow.
How do you feel about catwalks?
Meow.
Who can we thank for writing us that magnificent line and so many others within this episode, Rachel? Who was the writer for Enemy Khlyen, who I hope they came up with the title, by the way, because fantastic stuff.
Yeah, like a surprising comeback for Emily Andreas, who wrote Vessel, which we did not like the writing of.
You liked it, don't you? Don't you back off now? You were a bigger fan of it than I was. It was the most divisive of the season. I'll give it that.
But like I liked the plot elements, the parts where it was like, "Ooh, that was the writer." I did also cringe at.
It was very quippy, that episode. We both appreciated the kind of politics of that episode.
But it felt like it needed another draft or two.
We were dubious of if it was the script or if there was something in post, because that episode was edited down and weirdly, and it was very strange. And we were saying, I would love to see her next script and to get a better grasp on if it's the writing or if it was something happened outside of that. And as you said, this was a bit of a comeback. So tell me a bit more. What do you feel about her voice and how it came through in this episode?
I think this episode was much more balanced in the things that it was trying to do, between the humor, the quippiness, the plot, the lore, the characters.
The reveals.
Yeah, it was paced much better as well. And I feel like the pairing with the writer and director helped quite a bit.
I actually have something very important to share about this writer. So we've talked about her career in the past, but she's the creator for the television series Winona Earp, which I have never seen, you have never seen, but it is a show that I would love to know from people. Is it any good? I don't know. I've seen several actors from it, including the lead, but I know nothing of it, and I don't know anyone who's actually watched it. But it went on for a good while. There's still like TV movies coming from it. Is it any good? But the showrunner of this series, Michelle Lovretta, pointed directly to this episode and to a specific choice that the writer made that helped the series greatly. Are you curious to know what it was?
Yeah.
So Michelle Lovretta admitted in an interview that they had a hard time early on figuring out Davin. They knew how to set him up as alpha male with tortured past. And although they love tropes, you need to twist and bend tropes to make them more and to give them heart and soul. And they were trying to get that with Davin. It was a little bit harder, but this writer came in with this episode, and there was a choice made that helped unlock Davin as a character for Michelle Lovretta when she was looking at the episode, which was Dutch is laying on his bed and he is nervous. That's his reaction to seeing her. And apparently that helped figure out for the creative team of this series what the vulnerabilities are for Davin. And I think that's just such an interesting way to look at this, because when you and I were watching that scene, we were kind of focused on like the maturity that both characters were having under the circumstances of what's gone on. But thinking back, there is a nervousness on his side of things. Like, he has to prove himself, but he also has to not like show that he's clearly ashamed of his life right now and what's going on.
It's reassuring in a way to me that the creator had that problem too, because I was like, is it me, or is it Davin finding its feet, or is it the show finding its feet?
Or is that the story itself of a character who's unsure of themselves and over the course of it gains more definition? We have had some pushback over our discussions about Davin, and well-meaning pushback, but it's pushback from in a way where it's like clearly people have seen the show, so they know what's going on more. And it is good to even know that a guest writer can come in and have a take on a character that helps better inform the people who created the character in the first place. So although this episode is well written for giving us reveal on plot and overarching and lore stuff, that little character moment is actually one of the most important things that was taken away from the creator of the show. So I think that's really neat. But who was the director of this episode, and what did we feel about their work?
I only wrote down his first name. Paolo's back.
Oh, wow. Paolo. Rachel's got it all under control. And what did you... Well, we've seen his work before. He was Kiss Kiss Bye Bye. One of the best episodes.
And continuing to showcase his ability to direct action really well. That was the main note that I wrote down for his direction.
Yes, Paolo Barsman. He knows how to handle so much information, make it visually interesting, whether it's action or exposition. We've already started talking about our thoughts on the episode, but let's just dive on in. I liked this one. I thought it was good. It's a solid episode. It's doing exactly what it needs to.
It's got a lot of work that it needs to do, and it doesn't feel too burdened by it overall. Like, there's a lot of plot stuff, but there's a good amount of character stuff that I feel like it balances it all fairly well.
It's just not as enticing or exciting of an episode for me. And I don't know if that's because I've seen the show, so I know a lot of what it's setting up and going to pay off with later.
And you know how long you have to wait for those payoffs as well.
Yeah, I guess. But I think it's just because the last several episodes, as people know if you've been listening and or watching what we've been reacting to, those are the type of elements of the series that get my mind racing, that get my feelings going. And so this one's taking those elements and putting them on the back seat and rather driving the car straight towards like the climactic ending of the season and giving us all of these little payoffs to things that have been set up and still enticing us with more mysteries and more character stuff and more action. And although that doesn't wow me as much, I can't deny that it is still done very well and the episode moves at a great pace.
I'm still interested and intrigued by the things that they're building up, but a part of me is a little disappointed that there isn't really any sense of closure when it comes to Dutch and Khlyen, because it still feels like he's won. He's still in charge. He's still in control. And she has more information and more agency than she did before she confronted him. But I was looking forward to this episode and this process having maybe a little bit more of a concrete thing, but it's that thing that we've been talking about a lot in these last couple of episodes, which is it's just more questions. Like some answers, but more and more questions. And I think I'm getting a little bit tired of that process at this point, even though I can see that a lot of it's long term and setting up the broader world and building up to these bigger events. Like, you do really understand how this is so much bigger than Khlyen and Dutch, but that they're important to this process.
They, I think, are doing the best that they can with what they have to achieve, but I can see that
it still has an impact. They're trying to minimize it, but for me, it's still starting to drag that little bit. But that also makes sense because it's nearing the end of the season, and when they were writing it, it was like an episode to episode weekly thing, and you would have the solid break. In between seasons.
Gotta leave them wanting more.
To so that you're left to think about those things. Whereas I know that I won't have that solid break. I'm just going to go back in and get more questions. And since I don't have that foreknowledge of how answers are somewhat paced out and what things mean, I'm just left a little bit overwhelmed at this point.
We are in very similar waters to how Babylon 5 would approach its storytelling, but I think it takes a bit of a different lean to it, because when Babylon 5 would give us answers to things, it would dwell in them longer. So there was a greater sense of accomplishment for us, the viewer, that those things got answered. But in this show, they answer them and they move on relatively quickly. And like both shows give you answers and then more questions. But I think that is a part of it. Like, we get more details, more stuff in this episode. But it's not as, like, say, many of its contemporaries in TV, where you can get so annoyed at they're just raising more questions and not giving you answers. This show is always giving you answers to things. Like, we even learn what made Khlyen return in the first place in this episode, which was the events of the very first episode, the level 5 warrant. Like, that's a satisfying little answer, but we
Dutch
move on.
Didn't even accept it was Johnny.
Were you always part of it, even in my world?
Yes.
Was that what you were training me for?
Yes.
Why come back now? Why? Why now?
You took a level 5 warrant. A kill job. That was the sign I'd been waiting for. That you were finished running. That you were ready.
My big complaint of this episode, just to get it out of the way, was it had a perfect ending, and then it kept going. Then it kept going. Talking about Babylon 5. That did that a lot too, where you have the big reveal of Khlyen, what he is. He launches Dutch into space, hard cut to black, and you're like, yeah, that's the end. No, we've got more. We've got to fulfill the needs of the script, of little things we set up earlier that don't feel as important to me, the viewer, after having hit that high. And I think that gets in the way. Like, let's just talk about him. Alvis. That's the thing that we have to continue on after this big high.
So we
should talk about Alvis, a character that has been very underserved in this season.
And it doesn't even feel like they care about him much in this episode. He's there to give Davin the sort of EMP and then get arrested by Hills. That's it, right? Like, but it's his plot is more about what will matter in the long run rather than
Setting
the
up
short
pieces.
run. So it's like that stuff's got to happen in this episode because we need that to happen now because we won't have time for it next episode, or it'll have implications next episode maybe, and it's going to matter next season. That's what I feel at this moment.
I would love for the characterization and what he serves to the story to keep evolving, because last episode they evolved his character. We've not got a lot of him in this season so far, and Come the Rain had him paired up with Johnny, and they exchanged their philosophies, their ideas, and that gave us more insight. But this episode reverts him back to what we've seen so often before, which is characters saying, I don't believe in anything, and I don't think things will change. And him go, I've noticed that. You'll have to stand up and fight one day. And it's very one note. And because that note is being played again, it makes it so that the obvious setup for future things feels less satisfying with him, because I'm not invested in his character as much as I should be. Like, we've only had some other characters minorly in the show, but they've had development. Like, Turin comes back in this episode, and in the 3 episodes he's been in this season, he has changed incrementally from what we first saw him be. While with Alvis, he hasn't really, I haven't really changed my opinion that much outside of the last episode. And now this one, he's reverted back to just this figure to the sidelines who just puts his hands on his hips and just goes, I've noticed that.
With Turin as well, it's not necessarily that he's changed, but our understanding of him has changed through what we've seen of the world and the developments of the characterization of our main trio.
Or the context we find him in.
Yeah, but Alvis hasn't had that same thing, and I wonder if the show thinks that they've done that and they haven't done it successfully for Alvis.
He's this voice of reason. He has this religious text that he gives to Davin that he wants Johnny to have. It's about faith, and all of that stuff. Like, they're trying to do some poetic stuff with Alvis, but they just haven't had him be in the show enough or delve into him enough. We're talking earlier about how they have tropes and archetypes that they know how to do. I think Alvis is still stuck in that. We haven't had that eureka moment for him.
He hasn't got to evolve beyond that, and it drags more because we've had a variety of situations and characters that have managed to evolve beyond that and rise above those things. My prediction at this stage is relatively unfounded, but I think that Alvis's weapons have been used by probably the company to massacre a bunch of 7th generation Westerlies. And that potentially includes Hills's grandchild.
Well, I don't know, because Hills didn't seem like he was personally... He was just more
No.
A massacre's happened, you've taken it too far.
Yeah.
No,
but I said potentially.
Yeah.
But, and I admitted that that's very much on.
They said it was at Leith's Bazaar, which I think we went to when we were with Potter and the gang. So that's a neat little tie back in. But
that's my thinking, because Pri has a line about how everybody's really unsettled because they're worried that the company is going to renege on the whole 7th generation, get a plot on Leith.
Yeah. Leith.
No,
No, I get what you're saying. Alvis also has the opportunity to run away, but instead he decides to go to it. He's told by Pri that they're after you guys, you need to hide, and he says, no, I'm going to go there, I'm going to work this out. He gets arrested in front of everyone, you see the reaction, and it does tie back into his sentiments last episode of masochist or martyr. And he's very much becoming the martyr in this moment.
But that's part of the whole thing of being a scar-back monk.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, but he, as Johnny argued last episode, he's using that for his own means.
Yeah.
And how much do we believe that in this episode? I don't know. It seems like he's genuine. That's the thing, too. Like, he does seem genuine about these, like, ideals and things. I think that's also a part of why there's a little less intrigue with him, because I guess other characters who are, like with Johnny and Davin, they're just so world-weary that they look at someone like Alvis and think there must be something up with this guy. But everything we see of him and everything he says and does, he seems truly, like, heroic and altruistic and all of that. And so there's a little bit less to chew on when he does something like this, in comparison to, say, like in The Expanse, we could talk about, like, if a character did something like this, do you think they're good or bad, or what's their angle here? Like, what's Ashford's angle here? You know, that type of thing, where it's like, oh, he believes he's doing it is good, but is it bad? This is, I don't know, it's a little bit more clear-cut to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Alvis is mainly here so that Davin can have a weapon that saves the day and furthers the story.
Yep.
That's really
Furthers
what it matters in this episode.
one and future ones.
Because Davin is on his own at the beginning. He's doing odd jobs.
Oh my god. I fucking hated the way that this episode opened with him doing narration so much.
It's just one of those days.
You've ever
had one of those
assume
days?
that Ryan's even included that part in the YouTube edit of our reaction.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You can see how fucking close I was to rage quitting.
Because I joked if his next line was, yeah, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation. You're like, if he says that, I'm leaving. And he did not, thankfully. He did say some other cheesy things, but he did not say that. Let's talk about Davin being on his own and trying to find his place in the world.
Yeah, he's got a room upstairs with Porter and the sexes.
Yeah. And he barely gets to be there because he's running around all over Westerly after just the scum.
Yeah.
Just the local scum.
And the way that I understood the first warrant that he's doing there is like it's only 10 joys that this guy owes.
He'll pay for it.
It's another beautiful day in Westerly. Why don't we just take it down a notch? Okay, look. It's a disorderly warrant. 10 joy fine, Max. Hell, I'll pay it for you. Just take a breath.
Dutch does visit him, and it is a very sweet scene. They're slowly more coming to terms with what has happened between the two of them, but the tension is about Johnny.
Yeah.
And how there's
that
unresolved matters there.
is so much. Like, I keep on praising this show for doing the more interesting thing, because it's not about them. That fallout is that fallout, but what both of them are caring more about at the moment is Johnny. And after Johnny's struggle in the last episode about always being the fixer, that feels really heartwarming that both of them are, well, kind of, Dutch is choosing Johnny and Davin is following her lead. It's still not his instinct to put Johnny first.
He wants to, but he doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
He thinks
his
giving
desire,
him space,
but not his instinct.
He thinks giving him space will help the matter. And because the needs of the plot demand it, they do come back together. The Khlyen
to go get
stuff,
a divorce.
Yeah, the Khlyen stuff is ramping up. They got the Neuralink. So Davin does come to them at the bar and they pull up a seat. Johnny pulls up the seat and gets him to sit there because they need someone of his expertise. They need his skills as a soldier boy to infiltrate.
He's good at tactical.
He's good at tactical to infiltrate the rack. And there's a lot of sci-fi whiz-bang nonsense in this episode. There's a lot of gadgets and tech, and we have talked about how do we feel about the tech level of this universe. They have holograms. In this episode, Johnny puts a thing on his throat to mimic someone's voice from their recordings.
Like they have some level of biotech.
There's some level of like cybernetics and biotech. But then there are certain things that are beyond the capabilities, like this Neuralink or this weird interface thingamabob computer goo that Khlyen has. But how are you with the sci-fi technology of this show and what this episode was giving us?
I was having a lot of fun with this one for what it has. Like a big part of this episode is Dutch and Johnny working with the tech person that
from Utopia.
Yeah. And Dutch is in her underwear, put in this thing that looks like hula hoops with LED lights and stuff put on them. And it's just beautifully, ridiculously sci-fi.
It made me think of stuff like Farscape.
Mm-hmm.
It made me think of like early 2000s science fiction television, not just Sci-Fi Channel, but science fiction television in general. It made me think of like, oh, this would be a great Stargate prop. We bring up this tech stuff because we do have the scene where they hook her into the Matrix, basically.
Yep.
Like they feed back on his Neuralink so she can kind of figure out where Khlyen has been.
Mm-hmm.
And it involves a lot of her in her underwear jiggling about in a hula hoop thing. And although that sounds bad, it was very compelling because you're so invested in the character stuff. You want her to find Khlyen.
Even when she's just like, ooh, that gel's cold. Because they're inserting stuff into her spine, basically. Spinal fluid.
I liked how gross it was. Just the description of everything was
goopy.
Goopy. They had sticks that went zap. That was fun. Turin was torturing them with his like taser stick. That was great.
That was good. Us both being like, why are the handcuffs electronic? That seems stupid.
Well, it doesn't seem stupid. It seems stupider that you can fritz them out so easily by just spitting water on them.
Yeah, that's the part.
When he grabbed
They're not waterproof.
There was a moment where they had an option to do a smarter thing and they didn't. He grabbed a glass, like a glass of water. He scooched himself over to the table, grabbed a glass, and I was expecting him to do something clever with like break the glass and something or other. But instead he just drank water and spat it out. And it wasn't as clever as it could have been.
It made it feel more like a joke. I do appreciate how in like the hula hoopy situation of things, even though it has this stupid looking sci-fi tech, you still feel the seriousness of the tone along with the banter, because this is the moment of Dutch getting to turn and take advantage of Khlyen for a change, which is how they find out that he's at the rack.
Level 71 of the rack. They kept saying, I keep seeing 71, and I'm just like, 71? Okay, that's not going to be that helpful. And I like that Johnny was Mr. Please get more information. We can't just go on, you're in some warehouse that has 71 written on it. That's not going to be enough.
That's in deep space.
Yeah.
Not enough. And also you're putting yourself in physical danger by staying here longer because of the stuff that's happening.
I can't remember. Did she say that they were outside of the quad?
Yeah, they're just on the outside.
Because we do find out later that they were near what was the first moon that they tried to terraform, and it was a huge disaster, but that's where the rack is hovering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Neat little details, but the big thing is Khlyen is in the rack. He has like a blue-haired lady assistant, which is very funny.
Before we move away from the terraforming planet, I really appreciated that because it's just like, it confirms again that the company terraformed these planets, that it wasn't
Moons and planets, yeah.
the planet and the moon, because that was the first attempt and it failed.
And we saw last episode that there's still failures from terraforming the moon because of the rain that's now toxic.
Oh yeah,
and
the
Badlands
the
and
consequence of the mining. And,
yeah. There's a whole, and we even saw some of this in other episodes, like in Sugar Point Run, like all of these horrible things that spawn from the colonization that the company's trying to put out there.
Mhm.
But yeah.
But Khlyen is on the rack, level 71, had a blue-haired assistant who you really, really enjoyed.
She was almost unspoken in, like, people saw her, but no one cared. Like, that was the thing that drove me nuts, was like, Dutch eventually gets into level 71 and she's like walking behind this blue-haired lady with high heels, and she's like, Dutch is talking pretty loudly, and it's like, do you not worry about this lady finding you? No one cared, even especially Khlyen. He was like, you motherfucking piece of shit, clean this up later on when talking to her. I just liked that she was this very noticeable figure that no one gave a shit about. I don't know if the show intentionally did that or it just came across that way, but it gave me a mighty chuckle each time she showed up, because it's like, she's a very striking looking person with blue hair who's like the right hand of Khlyen, and no one gave a shit. Like, she wasn't even mentioned in like the I'm seeing Khlyen and he's with someone. No, it was just like, oh, he's in the rack. That's important. It's like, does this woman work for the rack? Don't know. They didn't inquire about it. It drove me nuts.
You assume so.
You would assume so. They don't know. They don't assume so. They don't think anything of it. It drove me a little bit crazy.
Yeah, you latched onto that one. Whereas I was just like, okay, I'm along for the ride. I did delight in how excited Johnny got when he was like, covert op.
And when they go to the rack to do their covert ops, Johnny hides some stuff under a prosthetic of his operation scars and stitches and stuff, so that when he gets detected, he can just say, "Yeah, I have titanium stitching, blah blah blah."
Staples, yeah, it hurt.
It's like, yeah, it hurt. And it's like, oh, they're playing up what happened a couple of episodes ago, which is just the tip of the iceberg of them doing that, because Davin's plan to get in is to file for divorce. Yeah. Which is, let's break up the team. And they do that thing where he has to justify why he wants to break up the team, and he's saying all the things that are true, but with an aggression to them. And, you know, Dutch and Johnny give him a look of like, geez, is that how he really feels underneath? You know?
Like, oh God. Like, I thought we were going to keep that under wraps, was how I read it. Of just like, why are you giving so much information away, damn it?
So this development of coming back to the rack, that this has been the safe harbor, this has been the thing that has given us steady employment, this is the thing that has always been the foundation of the Killjoys, is now where the villain is, and we have to investigate the rack. We have to question the rack. Because
they've been consistently building up that the us is the rack. The, like, Killjoys may compete, but they're a group. We had that.
We don't harm our own. That's why the news of what Davin did even stings all the more for Turin. Is like, hey, we don't do that.
The episode where they have to hunt down
Big Joe, yeah.
Yeah, Big Joe. Helps solidify that. So Khlyen being a part of the us really shakes the foundations of Dutch and Johnny, but particularly Dutch.
She thought she was free.
Mm-hmm.
Was she ever free?
Nope.
She's working for the thing that Khlyen is a high member of. How would that make you feel if you were in her position?
I would be fucking pissed and devastated. That it's like, oh, I thought that I was doing this because I broke out. I was on my own. I was doing what I wanted to do.
I made a choice. Mm-hmm.
But I didn't that choice wasn't actually mine at all, was it?
Khlyen is part of the wreck, John. What if he was part of it this whole time? What if I never really escaped?
Well, then let's finally set you free.
We find out a lot about her in this episode. Like, she automatically started at a level 5. She didn't have to work. She didn't have to do jack shit. She automatically came in, first one in history to do that. Like, what's that all about? And Turin, he has been investigating stuff. He knows of Red 17. Well, when he says he knows the name. He's also like them. He doesn't know jack shit about it, but he keeps flexing like he does because hopefully they'll give him more info.
Convince Davin that he knows more than he actually does.
Yeah.
And I really liked that moment.
The characterization on him was very fun. He called them Team Awesome Force. He's very surly and sarcastic and mean-spirited because he's in charge. He's the one calling the shots. The other times we've seen him, he was pissed off that he wasn't in control. Even with the Big Joe mission, he didn't want to take Big Joe down. He didn't want Big Joe to die, but he had to concede. He had to hand in power to the company. Or in the first episode, he had to yield to what we now know as Khlyen. And this is the episode where we see him start to rebel. This is the episode where we see him in his element, in control, and he's a nasty guy. But he's also got this fury to him that you can understand because he comes across like he genuinely believes in what the rack is supposed to be, and now it's been twisted into something else, and he's very upset about it.
His understanding of what this thing is has shifted because of the stuff that's happening with Dutch. So he is an outward expression of the inner turmoil that Dutch is going through as well.
He says that I'm actually your friend. Like, I'm actually the biggest ally you have here. But he's also torturing Davin.
Between like the hordes of people who are indifferent to them or would kill them on sight and Khlyen, Turin is their biggest ally.
I don't know, they're pretty revered.
Oh,
in the rack, Baelish isn't there to be their biggest ally. She's the biggest ally that they have that's a part of the organization. But she's got her local operations elsewhere.
As much as I dislike the epilogue part of this episode, I do like seeing Khlyen come back to drag Turin away after he's been stabbed. So
you mean that he knows what's going on?
We get confirmation that he's still alive, which
because he got stabbed with a huge knife
because
in the back through the chest.
We really like the characterization. What's he gonna do? And then he gets stabbed, and it's like, are they gonna kill him off in the episode where we're finally like, Turin, let's go?
It is a thing. It's the episode where he also says, I know about Red 17, I know about this and that, and then he gets stabbed and probably dies, and you're like, well, that makes sense. This is how it goes, right? Their biggest ally. But then at the end...
But they do the more interesting thing.
I love the physicality of Khlyen just like swooping him up like it's nothing, just grabbing him and being like, well, let's talk about that then, shall we? Let's find out a bit more about what you know.
Like he has got, it's another hint at the way that Khlyen feels modified in ways. Like him getting stabbed and not having a reaction, him being able to pick up essentially the dead weight of Turin and carry him like he is nothing.
There's a lot of intrigue in this story. We find out bits and pieces, what characters do and do not know. The Team Awesome Force infiltrates the rack. They go up the levels, and as they go up the levels closer and closer to Khlyen, the more things they find. Johnny hacks in and finds this weird interface that they assumed was one that you
Yes.
had to operate with your voice and whatever. But then once he gets there, he's confused because it looks like it's just a big bowl of green goo.
Goo. Yeah, that's another great sci-fi prop.
It's glowing. It vibrates when you put
Yeah.
your fingers near it. And he, like us, we just said, go on, stick your face in it, stick your dick in it. He's like, I'll stick my finger in it. And he's just like, I'm gonna poke it.
And then, like, the thing that fucks up the whole mission is him taking a scoop of the goo. And then it doesn't seem to be working properly when Khlyen goes.
Or it's still
Fuck.
moving and he's aware that something's gone on. Like, he's aware that it's been tampered with. And he looks afraid. Like, he looks...
Like, oh, that's
Uh-oh.
fucked shit up.
He looks, like, worried about that. Johnny is gathering the data about Khlyen. Like, he's like, give me information of Khlyen and put it on his pad.
Yeah, and then he can't decipher it, which makes sense because it's not technology that he knows or understands. So that being another hurdle that's been introduced in this episode makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't just feel like, oh, well, they couldn't make it easy or they've got to make another hurdle, they've got to make another challenge, whatever.
The real heart of this episode is Dutch and her relationship and past with Khlyen. He has returned. The episode...
We get another flashback.
We get the flashback. The episode does a masterful job of undercutting the revenge mission of it all by humanizing Khlyen in flashbacks, but also how Dutch feels about this. It's not as simple now as just, I'll go after Khlyen and I kill him or I get my answers. She does feel like she owes him to some degree. He's the person that made me the way I am. He's
she
basically
calls out that he is a surrogate father figure.
The conversation that Johnny and Dutch have together about this was the highlight of the episode because it just shows the complexity of these characters and how they view things. Dutch is a very strong person. She's very determined in what she needs to do, but this is her vulnerability. This is the thing that made her the way she is, as she says. But Johnny just calls it out for what it is. I was like, no, that's bullshit. You shouldn't have to be this way, and you shouldn't have to feel like you owe it to him for all of this trauma and damage that he has given you as well. And we really have to contend with that during the episode because she's had years to think about how she would confront Khlyen, and she chooses not to kill him, but rather, I'm going to destroy you, and what does that actually look like?
Yeah, it is going to be interesting for me to find out and for you to revisit. I'm not sure what that's going to look like other than, I assume, stripping him of his power in some way.
We learn about how they first met. Khlyen comes in to find her as this street urchin of a child. Khlyen comes in and he finds her covered in grime and she's homeless and the people are making fun of her, but we learn that she is of some high echelon royalty, probably, that's disgraced. And he's there on the orders of her father to bring her back into the fold and restore the family name. That's the story he tells.
Yeah, but it did make me wonder how much did she know her father? Is her father dead at that point? Is her father still alive but abandoned her?
So many things left in,
Will it
in
matter?
the air.
I am very intrigued to see if we get the further part of that flashback of the full story of the wasp and the bear, or if the story itself doesn't matter as much as just the coda, because that's the part that we get. We get the title, and then the flashback sort of ends, and then at the end, Khlyen's like, yeah, the story teaches you that they need each other.
That's what she says. That's the
that's
moral
like,
of He's like, what was the moral of that story? And
he
she's like, that's
gets
the moral of
Dutch
that
to
story.
say, yeah.
And he's like, yep, we need each other.
Yeah. And it's just like, but how much do they need each other, and how much does Khlyen need Dutch to believe that? Because he needs Dutch for something.
She's his weakness. He does not want to kill her, but he does want to control her. He said he made her into a weapon, and she should be thankful for that. She's not a victim. She's a weapon.
Was it wrong of me to protect you all these years?
You changed me.
Exactly. They were making you a victim. I made you a weapon. Now you tell me I was wrong, Yala.
I'm asking the questions.
This episode shows us his private side as well. We have not really seen that. We've always seen him appear to Dutch. He just corners her or surprises her or is in charge. But we get to see the aftermath of Dutch's actions, and to be alone with him and to see him be angry and afraid and unsure and truly caught with his pants down. And I think that's so important to give us, because it does show you that he is just a person at the end of the day.
Yes.
Up until now, he's almost been like a myth.
Yes. He's downgraded from God to human in this episode through that process.
But he's trying to elevate himself. He gives us the reveal that he is a level 6 Killjoy.
Mm-hmm. And he relishes that moment.
That he knows what Red 17 is. He the way that they shoot the scene and the way the lighting is and the look on his face, you can tell like he is trying to instill some sort of godliness and reverence into her. Like, you should be wowed by this.
And you should be afraid.
And even the ending, you see him drag Turin, you can see like there's almost like this animalistic presence in him. He's no longer just this refined, fancy-haired gentleman who is holding these secrets.
No.
You can see that there's more of this brooding, angry side.
And for me, I'm also interested in this because it's like, well, is Khlyen like the only level 6, or is he just the next layer down in this iceberg?
He talks about the history and the function of the rack. He talks about how they are stationed in other areas where they're not known to bring order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
very sinister the way he talks about it.
But Dutch has addressed that as well, of like the rack expanding into other areas and bringing order.
But he talks about it like that they've been doing that for a very long time. It's like, but how long of a time? And like, what's his role in it as a level 6? And like, is he the head guy? He makes it feel like in this episode he's in the head level. He's got a desk and like a secretary. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking? Like, he makes it sound like
of
he is the rack.
Level 71 being the top floor doesn't feel right either.
Yeah. 71's a very specific number.
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd number. That's the thing too. Like, you know, in these type of situations.
But it's the flip of 17.
Yep. It's flip of 17, red 17, but he is green goo. So there's that. Is there anything else you want to say about Khlyen and Dutch and their history and relationship and dynamic and what we're learning about both of them? Because this episode, yeah, we're getting more like lore stuff, but it is mainly about those two characters, getting to know who they are and what they mean to one another.
Yeah. I feel like that scene where Dutch confronts Khlyen, they have the fight, she pretends to poison herself, is going to continue to be important and evolve in the type of importance that it has, because like that relationship is gonna, I think, become more and more important to our understanding of Dutch and to the world that we're in as well.
As we wrap this out, before we get to the ratings, I've noticed that you've been a bit more apprehensive and dodging of this, but it is the penultimate episode, and this episode demands it. But what are your theories and predictions and thoughts and overall assumptions of what the deal is with the bigger picture of the show?
Yeah, I am often when we are watching things and I'm watching it for the first time and you've watched it before, I am very hesitant at the start to give my opinions because I'm aware that I'm speaking like in the moment to somebody who is knowledgeable.
And you're still formulating your own opinions.
Yeah.
Like, you're also trying to get grasp of what you actually feel about the show, let alone what you think the show is doing. It's about, like, feeling the show as well.
Yeah. So what do I think is gonna happen? I think overall, I think we're going to continue to expand out, maybe even beyond the quad, and eventually, maybe seasons down the line, who knows, get an understanding of where Dutch is from and where Davin and Johnny grew up too, because they're not from
As he points
here
out,
either.
Davin, he points that out in this episode. He's like, I'm not from here.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about quad politics. I'm not from here.
But we'll use it to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing that's going to continue to develop over time. I think next season, not next episode, we're going to get more information, but not necessarily answers about what Red 17 really is, because we got like the kooky conspiracy theorist version of what it is, and I think that that's going to be somewhat true. If I remember correctly, it's like a extra special training space for level 6s.
Right. Well, Turin also makes this claim like Dutch has had a Red 17 put out on her, and it's like
she's marked for Red 17.
For 17, and that's where Davin's like, okay, bullshit artist, like fuck you, you don't know anything. He's like, okay, I don't know anything, but I'm trying.
I think that they are still going to be Killjoys next season. It's hard because like I'm skipping over next episode because it feels like next episode is going to be obviously a pinnacle of this season and the stuff that they've built up, but it already feels so much more like it's going to be a prologue for season 2.
Also, what element are they going to tackle next week? Because they wrapped Khlyen up in a way where you could leave him for a while.
Yeah.
And or are they going to go back to Davin's stuff? Or are they going to...
have been doing that of like...
the company, or the 9. Or there's so many things that they could just grab onto to wrap up for the finale.
Is it going to go back to being another warrant?
Oh, I imagine if it was. But the big thing I need to know, what do you think Khlyen's agenda is? He's been working towards something the whole season, he says. Like, hey, I'm not doing this just willy-nilly. I've got stuff that I've got to do. He even says, like, I'm getting us prepared for what's coming to the quad. So you don't have to question me. Just do what I say. He's constantly, he wanted a super weapon. Like, he keeps, like, being like, I'm actually doing things, by the way.
Because did he end up getting the genetic bomb?
No, the company had that in the end. They handed it to the company, and that's why he choked her out in the alleyway. It's like, I fucking needed you to get that.
Yeah, that's right. I really don't know. And I don't really have a theory because I'm just enjoying watching the show give me what it's giving me. with that stuff at the moment. I don't feel the need to theorize because I know the information that I have. I'm happy sitting in that point and trusting that soon I will get more information, if not answers.
I know what you are. I know what you do up there.
Really? Let's chat about that, shall we?
On our rating system of Yum being bad and Yum Yum being good, this is a very well-made episode. It's a solid episode. It's an episode that I say is better when watching it. Because having talked about it, it's just a lot of, what do you think this is? What's that about? What did we feel about this? Which is obviously how discussions go, but I didn't feel like it really got me feeling as much. It's more just thinking about mechanics of storytelling, which is rewarding in itself, and a lot of people get lots of enjoyment from that, and we do too. So that's why I'm still giving this a yum yum.
Yum yum. I enjoyed this episode while we were watching it, and I didn't enjoy the pressure on me during this discussion to have theories. Because it's just like, I don't know.
It is one of those where it demands it of you, though.
Yeah.
It wants you to think of things beyond itself.
It's setting up all of those things, and I'm not annoyed by it, which I usually am. I usually do not like this much setup in an episode, but Killjoys has established enough of a trust as a show that I'm okay with it, if not at some point enjoying it, which is a surprise to me. I don't have any major complaints or faults with this episode, and a lot of the choices where I typically would be like, oh, you fucking did that, it feels natural and or authentic to the world and or the characters. Like Johnny stealing that fucking goo.
I'm glad
100% him.
I'm glad he did it.
100%. It would feel wrong if he didn't. That's the way I looked at it afterwards. I was like, if he didn't try it, I would have been like, what the fuck, Johnny? Or like, wait, what? You're just going to leave? But I didn't think about it beforehand. This episode gets a yum yum from me as well. Yum yum.
The next episode of Killjoys is episode 10 of season 1, the finale, and it is called Escape Velocity. And we've already done a bunch of talking on what could be, what is up next, but even as stated, there's enough loose ends that the finale could grab onto any thread and it would still make sense to wrap around with.
My big swing is that something's going to happen to the bar.
What? You think they're going to have a new holiday again where they
No.
shout out drinks,
I think
or...
that they're going to damage one of our homes, either Lucy or the bar.
Not the rack?
Nah.
Okay. I imagine, and again, I cannot recall fully the finale to this season, so I'm just going to go on a basic. I imagine we're going to find out more of what's happening with Alvis. That's just a given.
What the massacre is, yeah.
Yeah, and what's happening with him because he got arrested. But that is it. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate it so much, as well as your support. If you could make sure to share this around, let people know about the podcast, as well as rate and review, that would be greatly appreciated. If you want to follow us or contact us, Rachel, where can people do that?
They can find us under yumyumpod or yumyumpodcast. We already mentioned, but we have an email address, yumyumpod@gmail.com. But the best place to reach us is on our Discord, which is accessible to patrons only.
We have that Patreon. As said at the top, We release episodes early, have bonus content. We have a Discord. There's just so
We've
much
been at
happening.
this
It's a very fun time.
for now over 5 years.
Isn't that crazy?
There's 5 years of bonus Yum Yum content.
When we first
Over
started,
there.
Killjoys had only wrapped up a few months earlier than when we started the pod. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that interesting to think about? And now here we are talking about
Time's
it.
freaky.
Time is freaky. That is all. Thank you. I hope Fancy Lee returns next week. I said in this episode when we were watching it that it would have been great if the person to teach Davin what it's like to be a solo Killjoy was Fancy. Like, he kept being like, how do the people who do it alone manage it? And I was just waiting for the hard comedy cut to Fancy Lee teaching him how to do it. That would have been perfect. But yeah, we got to save Fancy for the finale. I don't know if that's true. It's just, he's one of my boys. I like that guy. He's very funny.
Yeah, we also joked about was it Davin getting pregnant?
No, it was Khlyen because it was like Enemy Mine. And in Enemy Mine, the alien he gets pregnant. He's pregnant during the events and gives birth. And we were joking, Enemy Khlyen would be pregnant and give birth. Which, hey, maybe that's what's going to happen. We did also say, like, because people have had sex in this show, we were joking, like, oh, is Dutch pregnant? Because she and Davin had sex. And I was like, hey, she had joyless sex with other people. And you're like, well, I think she wears protection for that, Ryan. I'm like, okay. All right, Rachel.
Okay, that's what it was.
But, all right, until next time, Yumlings, keep safe out there, or we will have to drag you like the limp, bleeding out piece of meat you are and ask you some serious questions about what you know.
We still didn't use ugly.
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 Instead, we just end 2 episodes by saying ugly at the end.
Ugly.
Yeah, just call it off. And have my tits handed to me by my boss? I don't think so.